Well guys, it's Christmas 2023, and it's time to review Thomascember once again. Since the last 2 years I've reviewed Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Series 1 and 2 episode by episode, I'm going to carry on with that tradition this year by reviewing Series 3. Episode by episode, of course. I'll be talking about each episode of the third series, its production values, the characters that were introduced to it, and just a few odd little facts about the show. And I know you guys are expecting me to review the last CGI series as well as the last DVD special that was released for the CGI series, but I honestly just haven't had that much time to look at those this year. I've been so busy with work lately and a bunch of other stuff that's been going on in the recent months that I just haven't had time to look over that lot of Thomas. So this year is solely going to be Series 3 of the classic series. Episode by episode, Trivial Pursuit facts, and other odds and sods about the episodes and characters that are introduced in the series, as well as some of the facts about the episodes that were based on stories by the Audrey family and stories that weren't based on the Audrey family, since this was the first series to use non-Audrey related stories. And with all that out of the way, let's dive right into Thomascember 2023. Now before we dive into the first episode of Series 3, I want to talk about something that not that many people talk about for Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. The hiatus that went on in between the second series and the third series. Mainly all the things that happened with the production team during the hiatus. And I'm going to start off with Brit Allcroft. After the success of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends in the United Kingdom, Brit Allcroft set her sights in distributing the show in the United States of America. And so while the team was on a break from making Thomas the Tank Engine series, Brit Aloft herself was off to America. When Britt originally pitched the idea for Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends to be shown in the United States of America, the TV stations didn't really like the idea because their shows at the time were 20-minute episodes, whereas in the UK a lot of our children's shows at that time were 5 to 10-minute episodes for each series, and American stations like to have 20-minute to half-hour programs, so 5-minute shorts just weren't going to cut it. So Brit Aloft decided to improvise and create a new American exclusive show to show the Thomas the Tank Engine episodes on. So with the help of Rick Siggelkow, they came up with Shining Time Station, a sitcom-esque show starring Ringo Star, George Carlin, Didi Conn, Brian O'Connor, and many others. Every single episode of the show would include a couple of episodes of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. Since Sir Ringo Starr had already provided the narrations for the British version of the show, he agreed to extend the role and to include the on-screen character called Mr. Conductor. And while the episodes remained mostly untouched, he went back and re-recorded a couple of lines that would fit in with the American audiences, like calling brake vans cabooses, trucks freight cars, the fat controllers to Topham hats since the word fat is offensive in America apparently. And then Bob's Your Uncle, out came Shining Time Station. After the first season of Shining Time, Sir Ringo left the show after his initial season to focus on his musical career and was replaced by George Carlin. Shining Time Station received critical acclaim. In a review for Entertainment Weekly, Ken Tucker states that compared to the faster paced Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Shining Time Station wants to slow things down. It's an old-fashioned show that creates a gentle, luring atmosphere and to convince children that life is fun and that trains are the way to travel. It was a rating success as well. In its first season, the show averaged a 0.9 Nielsen rating, translating to about 1.2 million viewers on average. At the peak of its popularity, the show brought in up to 7.5 million viewers per week. The show premiered on the 29th of January 1989 and ended in 1995, with all the actors going on to do their own things. Meanwhile, back in the UK, David Mitton teamed up with Thomas the Tank Engine producer Robert de Cardenay to produce Tugs, a series that consisted of 13 15-minute episodes, though 4 exist as 20-minute episodes on Tugs VHS tapes, each told by the show's narrator Captain Star, played by the late Patrick Allen. The filming and production of the series took place throughout 1987 and 1988 at Shepton Studios, Middlesex, where Thomas and Friends was also filmed at the time. As we all know, the series was made using live-action models much like Thomas the Tank Engine, which was seen as the most realistic method of portraying real tugboats. The set featured the Clearwater periscope lens system, a type of professional video camera used to film at the model's eye level. And the show was originally going to have a second series, but the studio ended up running out of money, so they had to cancel the second series. As of now, the show has never been released on DVD like the late David Mitton had originally intended to do, but most of the models from the show were put on display at Tugs the exhibition at the Midland Railway in Butterley, and continues to be displayed there to this day. After Clearwater's liquidation in 1990, Mitton joined the Brit Allcroft company to continue working on Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends in 1991, while Cardonet went on to direct Theodore Tugboat, a similarly natured series set in Canada. And some of the Tugs models were bought by Brit Allcroft's company to feature in the background of Thomas the Tank Engine episodes, including various boats, Big Mickey the Crane, and so on and so forth. And that's the complete history of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends' hiatus between Series 2 and Series 3. I hope you guys found this little history lesson interesting, and I thought it'd be nice to talk about since not that many people talk about it on the internet. I just felt it was a subject that was worth shedding some light on, and we'll officially start with Series 3 tomorrow.